Unprecedented territory, the Columbus Plan for Schools gets a green light.
From the Battelle Studio at WOSU at COSI, this is Columbus on the Record. Joining guest host Ann Fisher, Kathy Kandinsky, State House reporter for the Columbus Dispatch, Julie Carr-Smythe, State House correspondent for the Associated Press, Brian Rothenberg, director of Progress Ohio, and Marianne Sharkey, public affairs consultant.
Columbus voters get ready for a high-profile school levy campaign. The school board this week crossed the T's and dotted the I's on the Columbus Plan. That is after help from City Hall and the state legislature, before the board settled on a $515 million request for new money. If voters approve the levy in November, they would also be approving a plan to share district tax revenue with designated charter schools. Kathy Kandinsky, how might the charter schools provision play out in November?
Well, it's a good question because I think with voters, there's going to be some voters that decide they don't want their tax dollars going to privately operated charter schools. But we saw this in the Cleveland school plan earlier this year, and voters did approve that. It was a much larger levy than the one Columbus has got on. Like the Cleveland levy, we've got Mayor Coleman, our city leaders behind this levy. So it'll be interesting to see. I think it's going to boil down to how ready are voters to move on from the scandal that rocked the Columbus schools under the former superintendent Gene Harris, and how much opposition there is to the levy, how much organized opposition, because it'll be different than past levies where you've just seen the district officials out trying to promote the levy. This one's probably going to have support from a lot of community leaders from the mayor on down.
Well, and this isn't the first time, as Kathy mentions, Cleveland tried something similar, a very strong union town, very heavily Democratic public school supporting town, but they did get good passage of a levy that converted the charters into having some of that money. And I think what we're seeing is people coming to grips with how are we going to just embrace charter schools? What kind of charter schools are we willing to embrace? Do they have to meet certain quality requirements and achievement requirements? And it's a fight that I think the Kasich administration wants to win, because it's a better use of money, compromise-wise.
So, there are a couple things about this. I mean, first of all, obviously I've been a pretty big critic, as is Progress Ohio, for 8 years now of charter schools. But in this instance, we're really not arguing whether charter schools are going to be here or not. They're here. What's interesting about the proposal, at least, is the proposal gives more scrutiny to charter school money because of this public money. It limits it to only areas where there aren't schools that are performing well, and there aren't other charter schools performing well.
And where the charter schools are performing well.
Right. And it's also very limiting in terms of the local control over it. And the important thing to remember about this is that, it's even the teachers union is supportive of it, primarily because it's really not a referendum on charter schools or not charter schools. This is about, are our kids going to be treated fair? Is there going to be discrimination in the way we treat children in their education? And that's what it comes down to. So I don't think this is a referendum on charter schools.
And this is similar to what Cleveland did last year, and I actually worked on the 15 mil levy, which was quite a surprise to get that passed. 15 mils, I believe Columbus is 9 mils, but it did include the high-performing charter schools, and they are a part of it. And the teachers' unions initially was very much opposed to it, and so it came down to a lot of negotiations that went back and forth with the unions. Eventually, the teachers' unions did come on board. The difference, of course, is that in Cleveland, the school board is appointed by the mayor, and you don't have the similar situation here in Columbus.
There are other elements to the proposal, in particular, overhaul leadership, update classroom technology, boost preschool enrollment, and in particular fund independent auditor. And in speaking of an independent auditor, the data rigging scandal is another component in this levy campaign, and the new interim superintendent of Columbus City Schools, Daniel Good, already has begun to cull the ranks in the midst of the investigations. In interviews with the Dispatch and with WOSU News, he has said that he will not wait for Ohio Auditor Dave Yost or federal investigators to bring findings. Good said that he'll use information from an in-house investigation to force out some administrators. He also says that related grievance procedures will not delay those decisions. Was he brought in to wield a hatchet, or will he serve after his year-end contract ends? I think the question is, Marianne Sharkey, whether or not Cleveland had to deal with that kind of an issue.
Well, we did have the same sort of issue on, an enrollment scandal, and David Yost did come in, and he has subsequently issued a report, and of course there were inflated enrollment figures because your state funding is dependent upon your enrollment, and this has been going on in, well, a lot of the urban school districts, not just Columbus and Cleveland, but in other urban school districts, and actually in some suburban school districts too. So yes, we did face the enrollment scandal.
But it's not resolved yet. The scandal's not really resolved.
Right. No, and how it, it's still not clear how it actually happened. Who directed what, who did what, it's all not clear, and I think those things are going to have to be cleared up, and there's going to have to be some accountability before many voters are going to be willing to say, okay, I'm ready to support the school as it tries to put this all behind it. They're going to need to convince voters that they are, in fact, dealing with the issue and are putting it behind the district, and I think they still have some work there.
But until we solve the larger issue of how we fund our schools, this was a creature of, you have a student who's enrolled, they go to a charter school, they might come back to the public school. How do you count that person, and how do you get the money for your district? We got to solve that problem, which is a bigger problem at some point.
Well, you also have the issue of the rollback. The state rollback is going to be gone for the first time, probably with this levy on the ballot, which is really a 12.5% increase for the homeowners because they're no longer going to have the state subsidy from the rollback.
I don't think voters realize that yet. And I'm kind of personally surprised there's not more outrage or pushback from the districts about that. I know that they did fight during the budget negotiations to have that provision not be put into effect until January, so it would not affect these November levies. And I think there still could possibly be some action from the legislature to push it back yet. But at some point, people are going to realize that, and there's just one more thing.
They'll notice it when they get their tax bill.
Right. They'll notice it soon enough. Okay, moving on. The Motor City has gone bust. Detroit, long an icon of an industry that helped build the middle class, has declared bankruptcy. $18 billion in debt. The city, among other things, wants to cut payout of unfunded pensions to pennies on the dollar. Marianne Sharkey, lots of cities are eyeing their public employee pension funds and watching this bankruptcy very, very closely. The largest municipal case in history.
Yes, it's going to be very difficult, clearly, for Detroit to pull out because it doesn't even appear as though we're going to get federal and state help. In 1979, Cleveland went into default, but they had a lot of help from the state, and the state did come in and basically give them a bailout. I don't see that going on right now in Detroit. As far as you can tell in terms with the governor and the legislature, everybody seems to be opposed to it. But you just cannot allow a major American city to just go under. I don't know how that can be done. I'm surprised that President Obama or somebody hasn't stepped up to say, we can't let this happen.
But it's $18 billion. Well, that's a lot of money. $18 billion they need. That's what they're,
Well, at one point, President Jerry Ford told New York City to drop debt.
That's right.
So somehow they ended up getting some help from the government.
Well, and Detroit had already, benefited from the bailout of the auto industry. Maybe there's a feeling that this has been, much has been put into trying to bolster the industries that were behind that city's economy, and where do you go from here? That was a huge sticking point.
The question is whether, first of all, the courts are going to allow this, because there's a couple problems here. Number one, these are pension funds. They belong to these workers. And, people can say what they want, but if you're a sanitation worker, you weren't making a good living, but you had a job where you were getting, benefits and you were getting this pension, and all of a sudden your pension's going to disappear. These are things that were supposed to be protected. Bonds. People voted on bonds in the city of Detroit. So bondholders are now on the lurch. And I don't know that a court is actually going to allow this. And in some ways, I think this is irresponsible of the federal government and the state government to let this go on in this way. Because quite frankly, these are people that are owed money. It's going to affect the economy, and it's going to affect other cities if this continues. I do think a judge is going to stop this.
I mean, you bring up the key point is the pensions, the public, the pensions for retired workers. They're pretty generous. When you have a police officer or a fire officer who's able to retire after 30 years and then could be, you could be paying a pension, not to say he's not entitled, those are hard jobs. But think of the impact from the city's perspective that they're going for decades paying those pensions. At some point, it's a tipping point, and I think that's what you're seeing in Detroit. I'm not sure it has anything to do with the economy there. I think it has to do with leadership.
And that is, but the economy, leadership aside, the economy, there's lots of cities in the same situation. Detroit has something like 20,000 pensioners and 10,000 employees.
Right, and it's lost half of its population. It's been hit very, very hard with the foreclosure rate. I mean, there's so much there. You're not going to get the money from the property taxes. You're not going to get money from income taxes. Most of Detroit is in poverty itself. It's in the suburbs where the wealth is. So, I mean, where they come up with the money to fund their pensions is going to be extremely difficult. But I agree with Brian in that there is a trust. There is, these workers have already put in their time. So it's a little hard to just say, hey, good luck.
You've got to do it.
But I mean, a lot of governments are trying to make those kind of adjustments. Obviously, in Ohio, we've tried to do that as well. We take a look back at the funds and say, well, maybe we're going to up the retirement age and lower the benefit and, do what you can to save these systems so that the whole retirement system doesn't go bust.
I think it also speaks to the need to preserve your inner cities. For years we've all talked about Detroit and how the urban center there was in such decay. And I know that some things have changed, that they've done some things to try and rebuild their urban center, but I think it really speaks to the need to keep your urban cities healthy and revitalized, and because it speaks to the health of your area, of your
The center city looks like they have a couple, 3 billionaires interested. They're buying up property like mad, including, I think, the owner of the Cleveland Cavaliers, Dan Gilbert. And apartments in the center city of Cleveland, right downtown, are going for $1,000 a month. I mean, that's the bottom line. People are looking that kind of real estate. They're okay with, but
it's the neighborhoods. I mean, look,
surrounding.
I worked in Cleveland. I worked in a big city and at a high level in that government. And I can tell you that until we pay attention to the people that live in those cities and the neighborhoods, this doesn't change and make a better quality of life. And you can have a better quality of life even if there's poverty, if you care about it and you pay attention to it. But when we go out to the suburbs and we sit in our home in the suburbs and ignore those issues, there's a price we pay.
Well, actually, now in Cleveland, you can't even get an apartment. I mean, they're selling out so fast. I mean, downtown is booming in terms of the housing market. But Dan Gilbert actually gives a bonus to his employees to live in downtown Detroit. So he's been doing this with his. Of course, he has Quicken Loan, which is
there used to
large.
be those kind of resident requirements with like public workers too. Police and fire had to live in the districts. I don't think we have those anymore.
No, that's because the Ohio General Assembly. We in the Ohio Supreme Court rolled back the residency laws in Ohio. Yeah.
Okay. The debate over the use of red light and speed cameras has bubbled up again. Before recessing for the summer, the Ohio House approved a bill that would ban the devices over objections from Columbus area legislators Kevin Boyce and Mike Curtin.
Any harm caused by the misuse of these cameras is at worst temporary, an annoyance on one day of one's life. On the other hand, the societal harm caused by a heavy-handed, state government-mandated disabling of a technology proven to improve public safety is permanent, profound, and even life-shattering for some of our constituents.
The legislative action on red light cameras came after a suburban Cincinnati village issued 6,000 tickets in 30 days. Columbus has 38 cameras at work and is adding more this year. Backers of the cameras say that they make the city safer. Opponents contend they're a revenue grab. Julie Carr-Smythe, will these issues remain local, or could this effort in the Ohio General Assembly get some traction?
Well, obviously the bill cleared one chamber. It still needs to go to the Senate. I think the Senate tends to be the body who will it has bigger districts and is thinking more policy overview and may block this. The reason being that this is seen as sort of a constitutional type rights issue.
The home rule issue.
Yes, and so I think that that's what they're going to probably do is continue this debate that Mike Curtin mentions, and not necessarily pass it.
Guilty. I've been caught a few times.
I can't tell you how many times I've barely gone through a red light and just kept looking around, couldn't remember if there was a camera or not.
There's an actual visual movie on it if you're in Columbus when they show you. But
and that's the issue, is that sort of here's the big brother looking at you versus,
But it is considered a safety issue in some communities. I know some of the African American council members in Cleveland have actually asked for these red lights to be put into their wards because they do feel that they do serve as a detriment to crime, and for people speeding through their neighborhoods or suburbanites trying to get through Cleveland out to the suburbs. So they are popular with certain areas.
Especially the turn, the ones where you turn, illegal turns,
right.
As compared to speeding. Those I think are particularly effective, and I think Representative Curtin mentioned it in his floor speech, at cutting down on accidents, rear end accidents and side swipes. I think they've been really effective. It's kind of hard to argue against that.
And it shows you who's at fault, clearly,
Yes.
when there is a crash.
Can I be the resident crank skeptical person
Please
here?
do.
I mean, I don't think this is going to go anywhere in the Senate. There's a huge lobby. These companies that put in I agree with you on the actual public policy and with Mike Curtin on the public policy, but there's a huge lobby that puts a lot of money into these things. And I just believe that every legislative session there are these sausage meat grinder issues that are one chamber passes something so the other chamber can raise money. And it just kind of has that feel. So maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think it's going anywhere.
Columbus's contract with their company, just for instance, to get on that, they make the company that operates Columbus's cameras under their new contract makes $30 a ticket. Those tickets are usually about $90. So about a third of the ticket goes to the private company that operates.
Well, what about communities like the 6,000 tickets in 30 days?
Right, and we had one that you remember they shut them down as a city because that's all they were doing. They were existing only to issue tickets, and those tickets were paying for their entire police force, their entire city.
Well, it's like the mayor's court in Lyndale, which is that little strip in 71 as you go up to Cleveland, and they just, the whole town is funded by, speeding tickets.
But, there's that element, and then there's the lobbying element, and then there's just the general, people who hate the law kind of thing. There was this guy when I grew up in Aurora that used to always be in the parades protesting stop signs that he said were illegal, and there's that kind of element to this,
How do you argue if you ran a red light that you shouldn't get a ticket? It's just kind of a hard argument.
Is it a constitutional right to face your
Right, and
camera?
you're
face your accuser, I guess, is what it is.
presumed innocent.
But the one good thing is the points do not go on your license. You just get a fine, but you do not get points.
Oh, okay. How do you know?
Because I guess I'm guilty.
What shark do you when she's drunk?
Well, and another element of this is, the bottom line is people will speed if there's camera. They say that it has slowed people down, and they don't know how many accidents it's prevented. And if we wanted to get the equivalent of officers on the ground, boots on the ground, and as far as officers go, I can't even imagine how you'd replace that.
I do think that this is a pretty early introduction of a bill on this, and Ohio likes to be about 25th on passing things like this.
I don't know.
16th
to 23rd, personally. Okay. A federal court this week, moving on, could potentially establish legal standing for same-sex marriages in Ohio. In a case brought by a gay couple in Cincinnati, Sixth Circuit Appellate Court Judge Timothy Black has issued a temporary restraining order. He said he could not find a rational basis for Ohio's ban on same-sex marriage. One of the couple is terminally ill, and in order for his husband to eventually be buried in the same plot, the death certificate must record his status as married. Judge Black has ordered that, and also that the certificate list his surviving spouse. Ohio Attorney General Mike DeWine has said that if the ruling becomes final, he will appeal the decision. Brian Rothenberg, plans are already in the works for a ballot issue on this to overturn the constitutional ban in 2014. Could this be a perhaps viable alternative to that?
Well, I mean, I think all of them are viable alternatives. I mean, what a beautiful story. These people love each other. They actually flew him up on a private plane so that he could go to a state where they could get married and flew back. Even the Cincinnati Enquirer has editorialized twice in the past 2 weeks about this issue, and then the last one pointed out that, you know, this issue is a civil rights issue that shouldn't be left to a majority vote. And I think this is the first of a lot of lawsuits, because what's going to happen now post-DOMA ruling in the United States Supreme Court is if you can get married in another state, then I come back to Ohio and they don't recognize these things in Ohio, I've got the right to try to sue over that constitutional provision. And that constitutional provision is an embarrassment. It is with this state.
This is a tough one, I think, for DeWine, because the fact pattern in this is tough. I mean, this is a guy that wants to be buried. You know, he's dying. This is like his dying wish. It's just a tough fact pattern to kind of go up against.
Especially when the Republican Party in the state has, you know, been sort of loosening on this particular issue. We have Rob Portman, you know, saying that he's for gay marriage, and
we also have some right to life groups up by the lake, I believe, Lakewood, taking on the gay marriage issue and making it one of their missions to oppose gay marriage. Maybe setting the stage for a pretty strong coalition against it.
Well, it is not an RD thing. I mean, Jim Petro coming out for this. I think you're going to see other Republican officials and former Republican officials come out for it. I think you're going to see a lot of cross-party push on this, not just Rob Portman. And
well, there's actually a lot of gay activists in the Republican Party. Right. And I mean, there's even a county chairman right here in Franklin County who is gay. So I mean, there's a lot of activists in the Republican Party. So you're right; it's not an R&D thing at all.
And it doesn't register with younger voters.
It's not an R&D thing, but could it be an R primary thing?
Well, yes, it could be an R primary thing.
Right.
I mean, I'm just surprised Mike DeWine is jumping in on this. This is such an extreme and sad, tragic case. And I realize that Mike has gotten himself involved in just about every headline in Ohio, but this might have been one headline that he might have wanted to avoid.
Well, I mean, the bishop himself, and this is not a friendly bishop to gay causes here in Franklin County, has actually, there's an article in the Dispatch, I believe, that says that he would allow, that the Catholic Church allows the gay people to be buried in Catholic cemeteries.
The issue here is apparently the will of the grandfather says that anyone by marriage or blood can be buried in the family plot, and unless the couple is, the marriage is recognized on the death certificate. Well,
and I guess there's an issue where we don't allow cousins, for example, to marry in Ohio, but in some states they do. If you move here, that's a recognized marriage. However, the legal argument is that we have proactively outlawed gay marriage, so it's different than a case such as that, which I thought was pretty interesting.
It's also that, you know, the temporary restraining order of this case is, you know, it just applies to this couple. Mm-hmm. So, not to be kind of crass about it, but this gentleman's life is apparently near the end. So, you know, this whole case may go with him and just stand until that point, and then, you know, something else is going to have to come up to kind of carry it on, whether it's a ballot issue or whatever. But this only applies to this couple.
Okay, time for our final off-the-record parting shots. Marianne Sharkey, you're first.
Well, I would say Browns owner Jimmy Haslam is in quite a bit of trouble, and I suspect he will not be around for opening day.
Okay. For those of us who aren't following Cleveland sports very closely.
Oh, he's under an investigation for kickbacks from Pilot J, which he owns.
Oh, that's right.
Flying J. Flying J. Yeah, right. Yes, right.
Okay. Right. Brian Rothenberg.
You know, I believe that we are going to see, as I said before, sort of bipartisanly former elected officials on the Republican and Democratic side coming out throughout the summer on the gay marriage issue. I just think this is a train that's going to continue to march forward.
Let it go, yeah.
And Julie Carr Smythe.
I think that if gay marriage and abortion haven't been exciting enough, we're probably going to have guns coming back after the summer break. We have a stand your ground bill that seems to be emerging in this state post Trayvon Martin case, and we had the Buckeye Firearms Association spending money to buy George Zimmerman a weapon, and I just think, and now we have the Black Caucus circulating, some petitions against it, so I think it's going to be a big battle.
We'll also have Medicaid expansion. Don't forget about that.
Kathy Kandinsky.
Well, I'm gonna say, normally I would bet against Columbus school levy right now because of the scandal that they've endured and everything going on there. But I think that with Mayor Coleman and some of the other community leaders behind it, I think we're going to see a repeat of what we saw in Cleveland, and I think we're going to see this thing pass in November. I don't know how wide a margin it'll be, but I think it'll go.
Okay, and for me, Governor Kasich this week fast-tracked 41 highway projects to the tune of $3 billion. Meanwhile, another effort is afoot to bring passenger rail to the state of Ohio, or I should say the central Ohio. And I think that the governor would have to do a lot of backtracking at this point to go along with it, even though it's coming from a different point of view, and I don't think that he will. Okay, that's Columbus on the Record for this week. Please check us out online. We're on Facebook and Twitter. You can connect to all of that on our website, wosu.org/COTR. I'm Ann Fisher. Have a good week.